Welcome to another episode of Millennial Investing Explained. Here's today's question. So throughout this journey, throughout the last decade, what have been some of the biggest lessons or principles that you've learned while launching your business that millennial investors can learn from if they're interested in starting their own business?
Yeah, I think the biggest one again is to take your time and just go slow with it. I would encourage people to go real slow, actually. I think that kind of breaks the mold in that, a lot of people right now, and this is just maybe the time that we're in, is so fast, fast, fast. Got to go fast to market. Everything's fast to market. Raise a bunch of capital, raise a bunch of debt, get your name out there, and then basically just see if it sticks, right? I'm more of a fan of talk to one person, see what their problem is, then talk to two people and see if they have the same problem, right, in investing. And this is what effectively we've done over the last couple of years, the same questions and problems 200 times a day, right? So because we've taken our time to build a community now, slowly, we continuously hear the same problems. And when we hear the same problem over and over again, we try to solve it. And if we can solve it, we push it out. And then guess what? Then we get new problems. So if you work your business that way, I think you will grow a more stable, sustainable, powerful, community changing business than if you were to try to rush things.
From a human psychology perspective, how can somebody get over that hurdle? They might have friends who are starting a startup and they're getting funding or doing all this crazy stuff that's popular right now. Or maybe they just read the headlines and they feel envious or they have FOMO, the fear of missing out. How can somebody just overcome that mental hurdle to just do what you're saying? Because I completely agree with you in that strategy, but that's tough for a lot of people.
I've always had a much slower cadence for how things should go, right? And I don't rush things. What I think about when I think about just psychology and mental toughness, whatever you want to call it, emotional awareness, I envision what I think it's going to be in the future. And then I just start slowly chipping away at it. I know where Option Alpha is going to be in 3 years. I can see it in my mind. I have a really good vision. I know where I'm going to be when I'm trading. I know what my life is going to be like with my family and what I expect it to be. And I start slowly chipping away at it, knowing that I'm going to get there. It's a foregone conclusion that I'll be where I want to be. I just have to slowly chip away at it and, start to make progress. I think people think about success differently in that they think that they have to build up to some success level in the future. And to me, that means that they force themselves to do things at a faster pace. I've got to build all this stuff really, really fast. But you don't. You can just slowly peel away the layers of what eventually will become your business, right? So I think people they feel a sense of urgency and this need to build something so quickly versus creating something that has more staying power.
Well, there's so many things these days that are telling us the exact opposite, like Uber Eats, right? If you want food, you have instant gratification. You'll have the food to you in 10, 15 minutes. Or just Uber in general. You can have a car on demand or Netflix or all of these different things we have in our cell phones just provide instant gratification these days. And I think that that's been ingrained in so many people's heads that when it comes to business entrepreneurship, they just want instant gratification. And in order to do that, you need scale and you need to grow quickly.
I think there's businesses where you have an opportunity and your opportunity is you have to just go for it, right? And you got to go all in. But I'm just not that type of person. I would never raise capital to do that, knowing that there's a high likelihood I fail and I'm going to lose everyone's money. That's just not my personality. So I don't know, maybe that circles back to my childhood and how it's I want to have choice. I think your life should have options, not just options trading, but I think you should have options. And so running a business too quickly and over stretching yourself in many different ways, operational or leverage wise, scale wise, is just a recipe for disaster. I mean, the ones that we see are successful. We don't see the thousands that tried and failed, And so I think if you looked at the success rate of somebody who built a business slowly over time, probably much better than somebody who, ran and scaled it up to a unicorn that, was 1 in a million.
It's so interesting that you're saying this to me because when I first learned options, I thought it was this high-flying, super risky type strategy. So to hear somebody like you, who's one of the big faces of options trading, and we've gotten to know each other a little bit over the recent past, and it's so interesting that it's the complete opposite of what I expected. That's all for this episode of Millennial Investing Explained. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, or subscribe to our YouTube channel to get even more free content.